Well, again, good afternoon to everybody. Good morning to those of you west of me. It's a pleasure to dive into this. Today, we're going to be covering software integrations, specifically around ProCal, the calibration management solution, including why we see customers integrate, a few examples of integrations that we have actively running, specifically, with the products and how they work, and then just also how you guys could get started today, just whether it's discovery, whether it's actually, beginning or pursuing this. So we'll dive into all of that great information. Again, at the end, there is going to be a Q&A session. So you should see, I believe, if we have the same view, there's a Q&A option in your bar or in your Zoom tool. So at any time during this presentation, please feel free to ask questions if something pops up and want us to dive further into it later on. Please just type it right into there. That'd be great. At the end, we're going to be diving into all of the questions that everyone has. We'll be providing answers to as many of those that we have the knowledge to answer. Hopefully all of them. But if there is anything that we need to consult with the larger technical team on, or we just run out of time, anything like that, we will be responding to everybody specifically with a write-up on your questions, and then a list of those questions as well in the with the recording. So let's go ahead and get started. So typically you guys know who I am, but I do see some names that are new to me on here. So I want to go ahead and introduce myself. My name is Robert Goss. I'm an account manager here at Prime Technologies. I've actually been with the company for over 6 years now, I think, just roughly, just working with customers in all types of industries, whether they're regulated, whether they're not regulated, large customers, small customers, integrations, no integrations. I just spent a lot of time with customers and a lot of people in your situation who don't really know really what they're looking for, or just have a really big problem that they're looking to solve, and just help walk them through that journey to come up with a solution. So I'll go ahead and let Mike introduce himself here.
Hey everybody, how's it going? My name is Michael Price. I'm the Director of Customer Success and Operations here at Prime. Been with the company since 2011, and over the past few years I've managed many ProCal implementation projects and integration projects. These integrations have played a pivotal role in many successful implementations for us across many industries, including pharma, food and beverage, agriculture, chemical manufacturing. And we've seen how much added value and efficiency these integrations are able to provide for our customers. And thanks for joining, because we're excited to share some of that with you today.
Great. Yeah, so just quickly laying out what you can expect us to cover today. And I know a lot of it was in the invitation and everything, but just to reiterate. First of all, we're going to get into what exactly an integration is in context of ProCal and our discussion today. Just lay that out so we're on the same page. Afterwards, we're going to talk a little bit about the benefits that you can expect an integration to provide, both the problems that would lead someone to integrate, as well as the solutions that you'll find from that. A lot of people won't necessarily pursue this project just because it would be nice to have. Usually there's an underlying cause or a nice benefit that they can see that we'll work to uncover today. Afterwards, we'll talk a little bit about some of the most popular integrations that we see, not just specific brands, but also specific tools that we see a lot of people integrate with. There's a lot of options, a lot of flexibility out there. So we're going to just hit, the top 5 maybe, and we can get into more later on. Afterwards, we'll dive into what a standard integration workflow looks like, both the go live, the implementation of said integration, as well as once it's integrated, how the two systems or multiple would interact, and then just how you can get started with your own ProCal integration today. What steps you can take either directly within the next 30 minutes or within the next few weeks in order to kick that project off and start learning more about what is required and what benefits you may uncover from an integration. So, and again, just the Q&A is there. We really find a lot of engagement in here. We uncover and dive into a lot more dense topics that we normally would not. So I really encourage you guys to ask any questions you may have throughout the duration of this presentation. So getting started here, just kicking it off, what is an integration? So an integration specifically around ProCal in this example is going to be just combining different subroutines, software modules, or full programs with other software components in order to enhance the functionality of an existing application. In short, it's really just tying together the strengths from multiple systems into a single workflow, where you may see a lot of benefits, in one area, but some weaknesses over there for one system, and then you can take ProCal and maybe solve that and just make it a best of both worlds approach. So I'm sure this is pretty self-explanatory, but very helpful just to kind of make sure we're on the same page with what we are discussing today. So taking it back a notch, I thought it would be just helpful to first look at what are some of the common problems that we really see that lead people to integrations. A lot of these they come down to impacts on workflows, productivity, and ultimately pains that hurt your efficiency and waste time. So some of these you'll see here. First of all, managing multiple systems requires duplicate data entry and wasted time. This goes without saying. I think this is one of the biggest things. There's a lot of other workflows that end up, really being the main driver. But this is something that in any integration, it's just an astounding benefit you'll have. Something we did a little bit of research with other companies and found that when you actually have to go in and say you're using SAP, for example, and you need to update an asset, an instrument record, a status change, you'll have to go into SAP and then remember to go into your other systems and make those same changes exactly the same way so that they're all aligned. I think that the number that we saw was there's a 3 times, you're 3 times more likely to have errors occur when you have to remember to type exactly the same thing into multiple systems. And these integrations not only save time, they really reduce those, the errors that you'd be experiencing with mismatched data. Just something to think about there too is what does even one error in that process cost you? That I can't answer that for you, but it could be substantial. Afterwards, talking about when 2 systems are not connected, they're not sharing information. And this doesn't just go into, it's reading one way in one system and incorrectly in another way. This is all when you're actually looking at utilizing data in a larger system or a system to make decisions, when you're trying to have the most, impactful and measured decision-making processes in place. If you're not getting all of the relevant information into one place, or you're going to have to go and dance around and find it from multiple sources, that can also not only, cause waste and friction in that workflow process, but you could also not be making those, logical or most impactful decisions without all that relevant information too. So just something else to consider. Managing independent schedules, obviously that's just another one too, where, it just goes into where I'm going to fall back on SAP for the example here too. If you're pushing work out and you're doing work external to that system, but then, you're not updating the exact workflows, not the exact, results and everything too, it's going to be hard for that parent system to understand exactly when the next due dates for those activities may be without connecting to that, child system or that the connected system in that case too. It's possible, but it becomes more cumbersome and you just, again, are really opening yourself up to potential errors there. There's plenty of other examples in here that we'll dive into later on, but the first thing I thought was really worth bringing up is just kind of tying these into the solutions that you'll find from an integration process. So first of all, real-time data connections and synchronizing your assets. That's one of the biggest things in here too that we'll dive into a little in more detail, obviously, later on, but it's just extremely helpful if you can just update all of this information in one place and have it be mass updated across all of your systems in real time. And that way you can just make sure that everything is synchronized and working together. And again, when information is being shared, when ProCal can send out your deviations or your failure results or anything else like that to another system, that helps you to also make further impactful decisions. When you're looking at maybe you're using a LIMS system or something like that, and you need to make accurate decisions on testing or materials or something, but you're not having all the most up-to-date asset information in that system. That's again where an integration would cause, just really solve a lot of that problem and take a lot of that uncertainty out of the process. And again, two actions in one system can automatically impact the schedules in another. Goes without saying too, but if those systems are connected, you're doing work in one system, you're going to be updating the appropriate fields and information in the other systems so that when you're pushing these dates forward, you're deciding when things need to happen, moving forward, you'll have all that information right there and readily available. Mike, at this point, did you have anything else that you wanted to add to this or any other examples we could talk about?
Yeah, for sure. So like you're saying, I mean, just the advantage of entering data into one system is just really the most powerful part of this. And many of our most successful integrations have been not only synchronizing, ProCal with another system, but when customers have taken calibration programs that were spread across multiple CMMS databases and separate SAP instances, and they've kind of consolidated that down into a synchronized workflow with one single ProCal database, either connected to a single SAP or ERP database, or some have connected multiple SAP instances into a single workflow with our ProCal database. I can think of several examples. One major food and beverage customer we did a large implementation with 10 US sites, and each of those sites had 3 separate calibration databases when we started our project, and none of those calibration databases were communicating with SAP. And after our implementation, we were able to take all that calibration activity, consolidate it into a single ProCal database, which then communicated all work order, calibration work order, and calibration entry activity into a single workflow where technicians were able to enter that activity into ProCal, which would then be sent back to SAP without having the technicians to have to go between different systems. It's all there in one place. Another large implementation we've had was a global deployment of ProCal Direct, our cloud-hosted system. And that was a wide-scale deployment where this customer has 3 global SAP instances geographically across several continents. And we're able to take that and, again, consolidate that into a single ProCal database hosted in the cloud with integration with the same interface, communicating with 3 different SAP instances across the world. Technicians enter their calibration activity into ProCal, and then that activity is sent back to whatever SAP instance those work orders originated from, without the technicians ever having to go back to SAP.
Great, thanks, Mike. Yeah, there's just some really good examples and kind of help further expand upon what this can do and how these benefits are actually impacting our customers today. So diving a little more into probably the meat of the presentation here, there are tons of different types of integrations that we've seen, that we've scoped out. I'm going to, again, save time. I don't want to keep you guys here all day. So we're going to be focusing on some of like the big 3 or 4 that we really see frequently. These are really the ones that we most frequently integrate with and we have the most requests for. The first level here is an ERP or an enterprise resource planning tool, similar to when we're talking about work orders, when you're understanding workloads and all of that and setting that information down so that the work can then be completed within the ProCal tool and then push back for dates. But that's all around like scheduling and date-based and those types of things too. And then you can get into like an EAM or an enterprise asset management tool where, again, it's asset management, you need asset synchronization. This is going to be for decision making, a lot of other benefits as you can see here. Some of the other ones that have been really more popular in the past few years is we do frequent integrations with LIMS systems or laboratory information management systems. So that's more of like a, we'll get into an example of that, but that's again going to be more a combination of both of those. We use a little bit different technology, but it has been very, very impactful. We have seen some very strong integrations with LIMS systems in the past 18 to 24 months, most notably with Labware and L7 Informatics and a few others that we're working with as well. And we engage with those teams as well and have experience working with them. We also see integrations with reporting tools, such as Power BI and other tools where if you want to have the ability to, analyze information beyond what ProCal is capable of, or analyze information with additional factors in additional types of reporting, we're able to query the database and get you the right amount of information and right information into the appropriate formats for you. Again, there's tons of other possibilities here too. Honestly, I think anything that's related to calibration or engineering or, is relevant to the workflows that fall within ProCal, there's an opportunity to integrate with that. So again, we've done a lot of scoping out. We've done a lot of discovery sessions. We've done a lot of integrations for different workflows, even with the same tools. But we're very, very excited and very interested to learn more about, what your specific needs may be, even if they're not fitting any of these, core 4 primary tools that we frequently integrate with. Just, anecdotally, something that we hear very, very frequently and from a lot of other customers and a lot of other companies outside of our specific industry is, and we really believe that integrations are the future, and we're very interested in just, performing as many as we possibly can, really getting out there and just spreading our wings and understanding how we may be able to fit into the larger workflows going on at your facilities. So I wanted to dive into a specific example really around a workflow and really what an integration looks like once it's implemented and it's on site and the customer is using it. So for this example, I thought it would make sense to kick off with an ERP, the Enterprise Resource Planning tool. We see these with like a Maximo or an SAP, Infor, there's a ton of these. It's really not necessarily the brand that is going to determine this. It's really just that tool, the type of tool it is, and we'll be able to integrate with that. So at a high level, a standard SAP integration it's a two-pronged approach here. The first part is going to be the asset synchronization that we brought up. So it is almost like the EAM portion, where if you in SAP, you make a change to the status field, the location field, the functional location, anything like that, you'll be able to make sure that in ProCal, that information is being updated in real time. SAP or that ERP will live as a parent system here with us kind of working with it and absorbing information out of it, sending back the information that's required, but you'll ensure that all those assets are synchronized. So you only need to enter the information in one place and it'll spread out to all those integrated systems. The real benefit though here is that work order transfer that we've talked about. And that's because when you're looking at an ERP, for example, it's really, really powerful at understanding, the calendar and holidays, technician workloads, vacation time, the ability, technicians even like skill set and levels and all that to understand what they can do, and then assigning all of that work to be completed to those people. Where these really seem to falter very, very frequently we see is just the actual entering that information and interacting with that data, specifically around calibrations, working with fluke calibrators or, recording as found and as left results, those real types of granular details that are typically required, especially in regulated environments. Those are going to be lacking in these parent systems, as we see very frequently. And that's why our customers are excited to integrate, because it's the best of both worlds, as I said earlier. You'll be able to have that wonderful scheduling tool with all that immense power that's in that tool. Push all that information in those work orders with these scheduled and assigned technicians down into ProCal, where you'll be able to see what work you need to complete. Log in there, download it to your calibrator, go out in the field, just use your laptop or tablet and finish that work through that, the interface is designed specifically for this in a very user-friendly manner. And then once that's complete, we'll be able to push those results back up into the parent ERP system, in SAP Chico, the work order, specifically, and then make decisions based on those results in that parent system in order to push that date forward, schedule additional work, whatever it may be. Now, I really want to stress here, this is our standard out-of-the-box workflow. This is, 9 times out of 10. This is 9.5 times out of 10. This is what, all that customers need or want. But these are highly configurable workflows, and the data tools that we'll be talking about later that we utilize to initiate these, they're configurable and they can be set up so that these workflows can be augmented, they can be changed, they can be developed upon, and we can, enhance this and make this really unique to your specific needs. So just because there is an out-of-the-box workflow doesn't mean that this is just the be-all, end-all. That we can make changes to this, and if you have those, specific additional requirements, we can certainly, suffice and complete those. So that was just one example. There's a ton of other examples here too. One I wanted to bring up, and these are just some screenshots on the screen here of the tools that we have that we utilize for some of our tools. This is the ProCal connector and the data exchange. These are really third-party API tools that facilitate the data connection, consume and send web services, and all of the technological aspect. That's more of the administrative view. Just so you're aware, I wanted to share some pictures of those tools too. But another example I wanted to bring up would be a LIMS, or the Laboratory Information Management System integration. This is one that has become very popular because it's extremely easy to do, at least from our side, depending on the configuration of your LIMS system and everything. But it's very, very low impact from our side. And we have a web services query tool that we're able to utilize and then further configure for this, where in a LIMS system, say that you're doing an experiment and you want to work with a piece of equipment or a piece of instrumentation, but you also want to ensure that this is up to date, it hasn't failed, it's been calibrated recently, all that other information that you may need in that LIMS system readily available without having to go log into another application. What this does is we can have it check on a regular basis or a very, very tight recurring schedule for any modification events on those assets that are triggered or specified in ProCal. And then if there are any modifications, then we can take the specific fields that you may need and make sure that we're pushing that data and updating your LIMS system in real time so that you are going to have the most up-to-date information automatically applied to your assets within that other system. So it has been very, very helpful. It's been a huge time saver, very easy to get started with. And if you are using a LIMS tool and ProCal in parallel, I would highly recommend at least investigating this and taking a look and seeing if it is something that you may find an ROI on. There are a few other things in here too, but I figured, just for the sake of time, we are kind of running a little beyond, and I want to really we have quite a few more slides. We can get into some other examples later on in the Q&A, or if you have any other specific ones you may see. But actually, another one that would be good to bring up is parts and inventory management tool, wherein specifically the case I'm thinking of is SAP, where we do have a parts and inventory management module within ProCal, where if you are doing calibrations and activities where you're decrementing consumables, you're using spare parts, you need to keep track of your inventory, those locations and all that information. We can synchronize it to a very high degree to where everything's being, constantly communicated, or on just a lightweight degree where you're using everything, managing it. There are occasional updates into the system, but mainly the way this works is when you hit like a certain low inventory point, it's going to trigger a requisition over into that parent system to then go on and make orders too. Again, there's a lot of other detail, a lot of other types of integrations that we can get into. I could probably spend 6 hours here just walking through a lot of the detail in here, which I won't bore you guys to death with. But again, if you have any specific examples, tools, or types of applications or specific application names, feel free to ask those in the Q&A, and we'll be able to follow up on those with you. So at this point, I think I'm going to let you, Mike, take this slide on. Just talk a little bit more about the actual implementation process and how what the workflow of discovering and implementing an integration looks like.
Sure, Robert. So like Robert said, I mean, these integrations, they can be done in a variety of different ways, many different functions, specific types of interfaces, whether it's asset synchronization, work order synchronization, result sending results back to whatever that parent or master system is. So each customer may desire a unique workflow or unique field level mappings. So one of the things we found that really leads us to successful integration projects and successful deployments of these interfaces is beginning with just a quick, several hours or maybe a day discovery session, exploratory session, where we get together with our customers, business owners, technical resources, and we really get down and talk about what the desired workflow is, what the desired interface functions are, the different directions of communication back and forth. And then we get really down into even the field level mapping to decide what pieces of data we want to send back and forth. Spending that time really allows us to develop a clear picture of what that intended integration will look like. And then as we move forward into the implementation, as you see on the slide there, it really just allows for a much more efficient and successful project overall. So we've done these sessions remotely, or we've gone to customer facilities and done them in person. And like I said, we've really just found that they're extremely valuable to get these integration projects started on the right foot.
Great, yeah, could not have said it better myself. Thanks, Mike. So diving a little bit deeper into this, how do you get started with one of these? What are the first steps that you can take here? Honestly, you can visit our website, primetechpa.com, and fill out a form, get some more information there. We have a lot of details, workflow information on our website. You can send us an email or give us a call. The most simple way that you could do this is just simply write in the chat in this Zoom meeting. If you think that you might be interested in scheduling a call, we're not going to hold you to it or anything. But if you are interested in this, you can just simply write in the chat that we have that's separate from the Q&A or the Q&A, and we'll consume it ourselves. But we can, we will engage with you if you do express interest to us here. We'll make sure that someone reaches out to you, learns a little bit more, schedules a call with you if you'd like to get that far or that detail, or if you just need additional information, we'll make sure to reach out and get that back to you. So, once that happens, we, like I said, we have provided integrations of all sizes for many different types of systems. and just really happy to have a call to learn more about your needs. We've done these in very small single site implementations with just a minor system that may need to have an integration done with it, very low impact, or again, like Mike said, international global enterprise integrations here with hundreds of sites across multiple continents. Any size isn't too small, it isn't too big, and we're just extremely excited, especially in just this time with our company, to learn more about integrating with other applications and everything like that. So again, just please feel free to reach out to us. We're happy to have a discovery call with you. We're happy to learn more about your specific needs and see what we might be able to do to solve whatever problems that you're currently facing. So just write in the chat, send us an email, or whatever you may need to do. But again, all you need to do is engage with us, and we'll do 99% of the work that needs to be done, including driving the conversations and everything else like that. We do these all the time. We have a very experienced team with this, and we're no strangers to the integration process. Cool. So at this point, I wanted to dive into the Q&A. Again, like I said, if there are any questions that we cannot answer today, or whether it's time or technical reasoning, we will follow up with you specifically with an email afterwards. And then all of these questions, the answers to those will be posted with the recording, so you will have access to all of that as well. With that, I do see we have a handful of questions that have come in already. So I'm going to go ahead and just put up our contact information in case you do want to reach out to either of us directly, send us a note, tell us how good we did today, anything like that too. But with that, I'm going to go ahead and pull some of these questions up. And yeah, so it looks like we have 5 so far. And again, please keep asking these. We're happy to answer these, and they help extend, and we'll be diving into additional content we normally would not have. So
Robert, I can jump in and take a couple of these right off the bat.
Yeah, please.
Taking a look while you've been talking. One I see from Claude. Hi, Claude. Can we get a copy of this presentation? Yes, of course, the recording is going to be sent out as after this call, so you'll definitely get a copy of the recording. A couple other ones we have from some anonymous attendees. Can we integrate ProCal with more than one system? The answer is yes. We can put in, as I said before, we can integrate with multiple instances of the same system, or we can have multiple integrations to different systems. So if you have an ERP system like SAP, or if you have a LIM system like Robert was talking about, we are able to have multiple interfaces against a single ProCal database. Another great question here from an anonymous attendee is, are we able to validate these integrations, for FDA compliant sites? And the answer is yes. We've done these integrations for, many of our pharmaceutical companies, customers. I remember one project, which was actually one of the first one of these integrations I did, I think back in 2015, with one of our major pharmaceutical customers. We implemented ProCal at a new site for that customer, and not only did we validate the ProCal implementation, we also validated the workflow with the SAP interface, and that was part of their full GAMP5 validation, and it's a fully FDA compliant site. Another question we have here is, are these integrations done in real time or at scheduled times, or both? And the answer is both. We have some interfaces that occur in real time as work orders and updates are entered into a parent system, or we also have other interfaces that run checks at scheduled intervals to search for updates and bring in new records. So it can be done either way. So we're just looking as they come in here.
There's two of them I can see real quick. Sure. I can jump on. The one here from Jonathan is, you mentioned several SAP examples. Can you elaborate on Oracle EAM as well? I mean, it's an EAM, and it is something we actually have scoped out. I'm not sure if we've done have a live active integration with it. Definitely has been scoped out. It's just the same as any other EAM tool. Our tools, the way they're going to interact with that, there's just minor configuration to identify the field locations, but really the integration is going to work the exact same way for any EAM, minus, as long as you're following that workflow. Definitely possible, even if you need to change that workflow up, and we're happy to have that conversation with you.
Yeah, as Robert said, I mean, the great thing about the way we've been doing these integrations is we use our ProCal connector tool, which is used sort of as that middleware, which can communicate with any number of, ERP or EAM systems. So we're still using that same tool, but it's flexible enough to communicate to different types of systems. Another one I see here from Dave is so ProCal can be used as a repository for scan certifications from vendors. Yeah, that's absolutely something that ProCal does, and many of our customers will do specifically for test standard certifications, but really any calibration that's done by an outside service provider or vendor. We have a manual pass-fail test type package, which allows you to capture calibration results and attach scan certifications, so you don't always have to just key in the specific measurement results for a specific calibration. You can just enter that the calibration was performed and then scan in the actual certificate in an electronic copy and store that in ProCal.
Yeah, I can think of several examples in very large pharmaceutical customers too, where they have vendors performing all of their calibrations. They have I&E techs, but they're more checking, they're managing ProCal, but the vendors are doing all of the calibrations, and they use this as a compliance tool where they can go in there, recall those certs quickly. Anytime there's an auditor who comes in, they can show, again, compliance reports, or if there were any failed or late calibrations, all that information is going to be right at the tips of their fingers.
Another great question I see here from Anonymous is, have we ever integrated with a document management system? The answer is yes, that we have also integrated not only work orders or assets themselves, but also procedures, calibration procedures, whether that's from an online document management system or something on premise for that customer, but that can also be done as well.
Yeah, I think there's another tool I see frequently come up in that area. That's Master Controls. I think it's the name of that tool too, but I see that frequently. Oh wow, these are coming in quicker than we can answer them. That's great. I can see one right here. Can you integrate with Sage accounting software? So I'm not very familiar with Sage myself, though I know we do have, and we have integrated with QuickBooks in the past. So, in that same way, that's another one where it's something we're very happy to dive into, especially for our service companies and such, and others who need to access information through vendors. So definitely possible. We'd like to have a discovery call with you, and we can really scope out to see exactly what you need that integration to do, and make sure that we can do it for you. But yeah, certainly. All right.
Another one I see here is, can you integrate with our proprietary database that was built in Microsoft Access? Yeah, so we're not only limited to these, large, the SAPs, the Maximos, the Oracle EAMs. We've also done integrations to homegrown, proprietary systems. Basically, we can use these same tools to communicate with a variety of different programs, like we said.
Yeah, perfect. There's one at the top here. Are there checks to ensure that the systems are in sync? Yes, there are. This is where you'll utilize that one. I showed some screenshots, the ProCal connector tool that sits in between the two systems and facilitates this along with data exchange. That will have error logging, that will have a log of all the facilitated transactions, information on those. That'll all be there and very readily available for you. So yes, you definitely can check that. And I just lost one. I think there was Vladimir had a question, but that was specific to his company. I think it fell off. So, but we'll follow up with you on to answer that one specifically afterwards. Yeah.
Another question from Vladimir here he has too is how far away from the iPad version of ProCal is? How far away is that from release? Can't give any firm release dates or anything here, but I will say that stay tuned. I mean, we do have some really exciting things coming out here at Prime. That are really going to open up the platform and for some, in a more modern way.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Again, yeah, as Mike was saying, we can't give anything away, but definitely stay tuned. Here's another one. Also, did you ever integrate with a QMS or quality management system such as TrackWise in order to escalate an issue and if an instrument failed a calibration to generate an investigation? That's a good question. I'm not sure. I can definitely see this being an integration around our compliance reporting, where we do have notifications. We have a lot of triggers and things that happen within our database when there's a failed, an as found failure with an adjustment that could happen, completely failed calibration where you made adjustments, it didn't work, the as left failed as well, or a late calibration to have different notification types. So we can set that up. Yeah, that would be one that I would assume would be relatively simple. I'm not an engineer or technical, so I won't, don't hold me to it. But yeah, you're coming up as anonymous, so I don't see your name. But if you want to reach out to us specifically about this afterwards, we'd be happy to have that. That's something I can just immediately think of several different ways that we can approach that workflow to make it happen. Cool. And then, yeah, I see Jonathan wrote in, we have let me post this one. We have a corporate platform with Access and use it at the site level. I believe he's talking about Microsoft Access. How does integration work with this type of arrangement? That's a good question. I mean, I get it really just comes down to where the tool that you're looking to integrate with is. We can dive a little bit deeper. I probably want to take some more information at your versioning, how the implementation is, whether it's on a virtual machine or if it's locally installed in some of that. But yeah, I mean, it's probably something we could, it will be trivial in terms of resistance or friction in the integration. I'd like to learn a little bit more. This could also be an opportunity for us to maybe just upgrade you to more of a server-based level application too, which would probably be something very straightforward we could do along with this integration. But definitely, regardless of the approach or how it is, I'd like to learn a little bit more about the implementation you currently have, the implementation of the system that you're looking to integrate with, and then diving a little deeper. Oh, and then, yeah, he clarified and said, not talking about Microsoft Access. I was referring to Access at this from the software at the site level. So I'll have to, I forget. Yeah, that could be something too, where if there is like an individual site, like Mike said, we've done this to where if it's a corporate system and you have just a single site or a single implementation, we still have been able to implement ProCal with multiple different other applications, multiple SAP applications in the past. That really won't be a problem in this case, whether it's going to be like more of an integration utilized by a larger corporate team, or if it's just specifically for your site. That won't cause a problem at all. And thank you for clarifying that. That helped me.
We do also have customers who are, many sites across the board. Actually, one that I mentioned earlier, that's a global deployment, and they do have we are able to, control the integration at the site level. So some of their facilities are using the integration, and some of the facilities are using ProCal as a standalone program. So we are able with our tools to do, site level configuration where it's flexible, that some sites may use the integration and other sites in the same ProCal database are not using the integration.
Perfect. All right, I'm not sure. There was a lot of, so I think a few of these fell off too. I'm not sure if they got deleted, but yeah, so that was all of our questions. Are there any other questions? You guys are happy to stay on another minute or so? I will move this along to the next screen as well. All right, yeah, it doesn't look like anything else is coming in. So again, if you are interested in this, interested in learning more, all you have to do is reach out to us. Just make sure that we're aware that you're interested, and we can do the rest of the work there, engage with you, and just really work through this based on the experience we have doing this with other customers as well. So just don't hesitate even if there's just a question at all that we can answer, or anything else that we can help out with. And yeah, and I see you wrote thanks. So thanks, Dave. Thank you for participating. And again, just everyone here, everyone who attended, registered, and especially those of you who are participated with the Q&A, really appreciate that. Really appreciate the participation. And just again, really looking forward to hearing from you guys. Thank you so much, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your day.
Thanks, everyone.